Normally, gar are caught before the water begins to cool down, well before the sun sets.
That's gone up, it's gone up again.
Most guides give up fishing by mid-afternoon.
Set it. There we go. That's it. Please be on it. You feel something?
Yeah. That's a fish. Ain't no turtle.
Oh, yes!
Oh, it's gone under the boat.
Keep the tip away.
That soaked me. I'm here 4 feet above the water and I got a splashing.
Yes!
Finally, it seems I am going to get face to face with my river monster. After fishing for 12 hours straight, just as dusk turns to night, I set my eyes on the giant fish.
It's pulling down.
Look at that rod tip.
Let's get him up. Do you want me to?
The most dangerous part of gar fishing is bringing the fish aboard the boat.
Coming over. Oh, there we go.
That's what we wanted.
That's exactly what we wanted.
That is exactly what we wanted. That's a proper size fish.
Single hook.
Single hook. We've done it. Fantastic, Mark. That was really... Ooh. Okay. We got the gaff handle?
Yes.
All right, so this will go in here. Okay. I think it's 123 pounds. Good.
Yes.
Finally getting my hands on the fish and seeing it face to face, I can begin to weigh up the evidence.
Actually laying hands on this prehistoric beast. This is fantastic. I mean, this is the creature that I came here to see. I mean, you hear people say, like Mark, that, you know, these things, they won't just devour a bait, they're so fiddly. They will just sit and chew it and maybe spit it out. I've had fish take 100 yards of line even, 15, 20 minutes, you tighten down and there's just nothing on the end.
Gar don't bite pieces off their prey. They only eat what they can swallow whole. This puts humans off the menu.
For all this fierce reputation, they do seem to be, they certainly look the part, but I'm not sure that they actually act up to the part. Ooh, what a thing, what an animal.
This gator gar seems too gentle-natured to cause deliberate harm.
Interesting that here's the bait. It's not, it hasn't taken it down. The bait is, oh, here we go, there we go. Yeah.
Don't worry, you're going back in the water in a moment.
Yeah, maybe we'll throw that after as a little consolation. But no, it's interesting, when it just did that, the whole upper jaw sort of expanded, didn't it? When it actually came up and
You can actually see the gaps where there's actually flesh in between and the head's allowed to expand. Yeah. Right through these two little veins, right through here and up through here. You can see that separation from the jaw. Yeah. See how that actually gives. There's flesh in between these areas as well as up and through here. See that? Yeah. This is solid. Right here's flesh that attaches the joints, so it allows the head to flex and move.
The skin that joins these armoured plates allows the gar's jaw to expand. But not so much that it could consume a person or even a human limb.
It's very tempting just to keep it out and admire it, but I think, what is important, although this animal is an air breather, I think it is very much time to get it back in. So I think one last look and back in the water.
Oh, see how it's doing? Okay,
yeah.
You got it?
Okay. Very hard to hold.
Hey, and you got the heavier end.
I've got the heavy end, I've got the bony end.
This female gator gar measures 6 feet 8 inches. She's longer than I am tall. Then, once again, the gar draws blood. She has a 14-inch long mouth full of some 500 teeth.
That's not actually the teeth of the animal, that is the back of a scale or some scales.
Slicing across.
Yeah, as the fish, my hand, with the weight of the fish on my forearm there, the fish just slid back, and I'm sliding that way is fine, sliding this way, the rear points of these triangular scales stuck in. The Native Americans used to use them as arrowheads, and I can sort of see why now. I've got a big old scrape down down my arm there from the scales. Anyway, should we get...
I believe I've seen enough to clear the gar's name.
You've got that, yeah?
It's time to return this specimen to the wild and reflect on other possible suspects.
Okay. Lift it up. Okay.
Ta-da, baby.
There it goes. There it goes.
Excellent.
Wow.
The Amazon River is 4,250 miles long, twice the length of the Mississippi. It is mostly wide and slow moving, but up this distant tributary it is quite the opposite. A fifth of all the water on Earth passes through the Amazon, and piranhas and their relatives are found in just about all of it. It's a fisherman's paradise, and it's full of river monsters.
And there's a fish on, there's a fish on. Oh, there it is, jumping out of the water. That's quite strong, that's a strong fish.
I've hooked a predatory fish with dental hardware straight out of a horror movie.
So this is a payara, it's a relative of the piranha. It's an arms war down there, everything's got teeth, everything is eating everything else. And they've actually got those fangs there in the lower jaw, and they use those to puncture the swim bladder of the prey. So it just messes up the buoyancy. The small fish is then totally out of control. It's flopping around near the surface, and these will just come along afterwards and mop them up. And those fangs are that big that it has to have special holes in the upper jaw, otherwise it wouldn't be able to get its mouth closed. So there's probably some very precise engineering going on out of sight that we can't see.
This vampire-like creature shows how evil-looking the piranha family can get. But despite its looks, it is not the fish responsible for attacking people. This is a solitary fish hunter. I'm on the banks of the River Ebro in Spain, hunting down giant Wels catfish. They're estimated to put on up to £10 a year. If that's true, it won't be long before an Ebro Wels reaches the man-eating proportions of medieval folklore. If I'm after a man-eater, I need to catch at the very least a man-sized fish, one that falls on the fat side of 150 pounds. It's time to rig up. Rather than casting, we drop our baits over 100 yards out, just short of the sunken trees along the flooded river channel.
Take up the slack.
Then, with the high-tech alarms set, I can enjoy the Spanish sun. And now we wait. This is not my preferred fishing technique. I like to feel the line, be in contact with the bait. But Wels are not delicate feeders. And besides, it's hot here.
Yes, here.
And it's about to get hotter.
That's taking line, that's taking line.
This is my first super-sized Spanish Wels,
Get a bit of speed on.
and immediately it feels seriously big.
Just physical stuff. A serious burst from that fish when it first took. It's actually taking line when I struck. My forearm is almost cramping up. So good sign. We've got a fish, and that is a big fish. If I can bring him back. Yeah. I'm moving on the other side.
These Spanish Wels are hunting in broad daylight. They really are breaking their programming. And these fish even seem used to being handled. My first fish is 140 pounds and measures 6 foot 9 inches. If these fish are putting on £10 a year, then in 20 years this already massive creature could weigh as much as 340 pounds, more than double its present size. And if they do live until 80 years, I'll let you do the maths. The only thing that will restrict them is food. But there is one food supply here that is in huge quantities: other catfish. The Wels is not just a man-eater, it's a cannibal.
Just get a sort of a cool scientific look at this animal. I mean, the first thing, it's obviously the thing to do, start at the business end, the head. You've got, the main thing is just this very, very wide mouth, about 10 inches across on this animal. And you've got needle-like teeth. They are sharp as well. You put your hand in there and they'll draw blood. But in terms of getting a grip, just perfect. If they clamp down tight with those sort of jaw muscles, you're not going to get out of that. They're just purpose-built for lurking on the bottom and grabbing stuff that comes above them. And they're going to know that stuff is there, the prey, because their eyes are on top of the head. But more to the point, they've got these, and these are just, this is like sort of extrasensory perception. You can tell what's going on in the water. These will pick up vibrations and also chemicals in very sort of, very, very sensitive, very small quantities in both cases. On the side, you've got, very pronounced on this animal, you've got the lateral line, and this is their super organ, super touch organ. It just picks up vibrations in the water, often again at a very low level. And also you can see here these sort of marks on the skin. Now I think these are probably wounds from another fish, possibly when this fish was spawning, and they got a little bit too rough and a little bit sort of over enthusiastic. Stomach here, that's the vent there. So actually if it swallows something, this fish could potentially swallow something that long. It goes to the back of the throat, which is here. It opens up this sort of sphincter muscle there, and it could swallow something about 2 foot long. Looking at this fish, it is the perfect predator. They do eat anything, literally anything, but they are perfectly equipped to predate and also to come from underneath. That is just a mouth on the end of a solid, sinuous piece of muscle. Anyway, I can't hold him much longer.
Wels, like all catfish, can live quite a long time out of water if kept cool and wet. This guy seems quite reluctant to leave.
Should I leave him there or just walk him out?
In a split second, the fish turns. I'm just quick enough to escape.
That was the first catfish attack on a human on camera. I was just wondering, is he going to move? And he did sort of double round. And I have heard stories of them actually having a bite of somebody who's caught them, so I thought that's not going to happen to me. There's no mark there, but it has happened.
It's strong and heavy.
Look at this!
Vai. Kuyu. A new species for me. I know the species, but I've never caught one. There's a lump taken out of it by piranha. They can tell when a fish is in distress and they go after it. You can actually see the shape here of a piranha jaw. Something chomped this fish on the way in. Normally these fish are paying complete attention to not ending up on the menu. This one basically thinking about something else for just a moment, and a piranha came in and chopped it. So you've literally got to watch your back. This armoured catfish was a fantastic catch, but seeing the piranha bite on its back has crystallised everything for me. This fish lives in and amongst piranha every day of its life. Yet struggling on the end of my line, it instantly became a target. But as I set off on my mission, leaving the port of Manaus, my boat captain tells me that if I'm interested in arapaima, then I should definitely visit one of these floating houses. Salted arapaima used to be a meal enjoyed across the Amazon, but since a ban on commercial fishing, a few enterprising ribeirinhos or river people have started to farm them in pens like this to satisfy the demand for arapaima meat. I've heard these arapaima in this enclosure here do something quite spectacular. I've arrived just as they're preparing to fish one out for their own cooking pot. Bom dia! Eu vou aí. Tudo.
vamos tirar um
Eu sou Jeremy.
Seu nome é meu Alegria.
Alegria, eh?
Alegria.
Seu Alegria, which means happiness, is he's about to try and get an arapaima out of here. There's a few in here, and he says it's not an easy job. It can be a wee bit interesting. I'm going to ask him if maybe I can help. Tem que ficar de olho assim. There are 30 fish in here, and he says they're just jumping everywhere, and they are just, you know, you're just having to duck. You risk getting hit by the head, and this is about the size of a boxing ring. It's about having, you know, it's like having 30 people coming at you and just having to avoid them. Right, I'm going to have to just prepare myself a little bit. Pula mesmo?
Pula. É limpo embaixo. Ok.
Oh, I just trod on a fish.
Pisou em cima de
Right, esse fundura todo canto, né? Eu vou para lá.
Vai levando
De
pra lá.
costa. Ah, this is this is a bit like a boxing ring. It's about the same size. There's 35 fish in here, nearly as big as I am.
Lá vai o arrastão, leve nessa posição.
Bom, melhor assim.
Vai levando pra lá, vai levando pra lá.
Okay.
Vai levando
Taking the net up.
It's a simple matter of netting one, but this is exactly what I was doing when I took the full force of an arapaima headbutt to the chest. And I have been warned that these fish are particularly violent when cornered.
French, eh?
De frente é melhor.
é?
Bota o pé direito no churro.
I'm walking forward, which means all the vulnerable bits of my body, you know, a boxer would be covering them up.
Tá beleza.
Okay, that's going well.
Vai começar a pular.
Right, they're going to start jumping any minute, he's saying. Any minute they're going to start jumping.
Opa, furou, Zé. Afrouxa.
Okay, we didn't get one. I'm going to have to go through the whole thing again.
Knowing what's coming makes the second attempt even more daunting.
I'm afraid. Jeremy is afraid, he's saying. I think that is fairly clear to see. Right, he's saying they might be a bit tired this time, so they might...
There's no doubt that when cornered or trapped by nets, the arapaima becomes a formidable force of nature. With the help of these arapaima farmers, I'm finally holding one of these incredible fish in my arms.
Look at that thing.
My fear has been replaced with a new respect.
Vamos levantar, we're going to lift it up.
Maybe I'm now ready to face an arapaima on my own.
Oh, now we're going to let the head go. Let the head go. This is the... They wanted one to eat, that one was too big. They want to get a smaller one. I think I'm just going to leave them to it.
Ok.
Bon. Never ever seen anything like that before. All those fish absolutely clean out of the water. You know, I think that just has to be, you know, the evidence that I was looking for.
Just imagine the damage a fish could do that had the same solid bone head but was more than twice the weight. But Sue Alegria also insists that they sneak through holes in the nets, displaying a curiously unfish-like cunning. Combine that with their sheer muscular power, and you can easily see how dangerous the arapaima becomes when cornered. After travelling for 12 hours, I reach my destination, a river junction up a tributary of the Amazon.
As far as I can gather, this is the scene of the crime. And what's interesting is this is a very obvious meeting of the waters. You can see it so clearly because the two rivers that meet here are different colours. One is muddy white water, one is black water.
According to the locals, large catfish wait in ambush at river junctions like this to predate on smaller fish travelling downriver.
Because I'm after a pretty monstrous fish, I'm using monstrous tackle. I've got a huge forged steel hook on the end attached to a length of wire.
And then I've got about 300 yards of very strong line. Okay. And this rod, you'd normally only see this on a boat out in the open ocean, the kind of thing you'd use to catch marlin, tuna, that kind of thing, but I'm using this stuff in fresh water.
Something down there. Just grab the bait, bent the rod, and then let go. That's a fish on, that's a fish on. It's taking line. Taking line, taking. Feels pretty sizable. It'll be a little bit decisive and brutal now. Fish doesn't want to know though, doesn't want to know. Going down. Fish is coming up in the water, there it is. It's a joe, it's a good size.
This fish is not the piraiba I was hoping for, but the jau is a catfish, and some fishermen claim it can be just as dangerous as the larger piraiba.
But it's not finished. Doesn't like the side of the boat at all.
It has a reputation for being so strong on the end of a line that some people will tell you that it has dragged fishermen down into the depths.
This is about 80 pounds, 80, 90 pounds. It's a good sized fish. The hook hold looks good. We might even be able to land it on land.
After 20 minutes of hard struggle, I have the better of it.
Hey. And my goodness, feeling the strength of this thing. I wouldn't want that around my ankle or, you know, I wouldn't want to be head first down the mouth or something like that either. There we go. It looks a really sinister fish, that dark black colour, and it gets that from living down in the lightless zone, you know, deep in the rocky pools where it just blends in with the background. And particularly looking at it from here, just the shape of it, you know, it's a great big mouth, large head, very muscular midriff, and then just tapering off into this very chunky, powerful propulsion unit.
Just looking at these long whiskers that they use to probe their surroundings, it's pretty obvious where catfish get their name.
So this is a real, you know, this is a fish that's adapted for strong water, very strong fish. And if one of those was to grab you, there's not a great deal you could do about it. Oh, time to release this animal.
So the scene of the crime may not have yielded the man-eating piraiba I was after, but this impressive jau shows that there are some large catfish down there.
Oh, wanting to go already. Look at that, wanting to go already. That's good. That's good. There it goes. Ooh, quite a fish.
I head into the dark heart of the Amazon, up a distant tributary of the main river, to see if that tactic changes my luck. Maybe here I'll catch my man-eating piraiba.
Head down, head down, head down, head down, head down. Fish on.
Could this be the river monster I'm after? But who'll win this battle? Me or the fish? I'm here in the Amazon, investigating a family of killer catfish.
It's taking line. It's a strong fish, this.
And I think I've hooked a piraiba.
Come round, I've got to come round, I've got to come round. Got to come round.
The largest catfish species found here.
This is a good sized fish. I haven't seen it yet. Look at that! That is actually not the fish I want. That is a huge red-tailed catfish. I want the white, streamlined, shark-like piraiba, but this thing, my goodness, this is a good size. This is a very good size. mean, these things don't grow, don't get caught much bigger than this, so I'm going to weigh it. Can you read that? Right, this one is 80 pounds, this one. 80 pounds. It's very, very big for a red-tailed catfish. Not an easy fish to live.
Now that this fish is in the boat, it is pumping air, not water, over its gills, creating these strange sounds.
That is a big old catfish. And it's getting me in training for the Piraiba. The only thing is, too many more experiences like this one, and I just won't have any energy for a fish that's bigger than this. And I mean, this thing is just a huge head, huge bony head, tapering off into this leathery body, and a great big wide mouth there, without any teeth as such, but it's got real good grasping pads.
Unlike a shark that can bite its prey in half, catfish have to swallow it whole. So if they are overly ambitious, they will choke. But this fish has a different problem. Inside its mouth is a parasitic bloodsucker.
Another one here. And that is absolutely engorged with blood. The blood of this poor catfish.
This tiny parasite, the candiru, and this vast predator are both from the mafia-like family of catfish.
This is pretty disgusting. I don't know if I can get hold of it because they're very slippery. Need more fingernails. Okay, look, there we go. So there we go, before and after. This one's fed. This one's still lean and hungry.
And as I'll find out, it's these small guys you have to watch out for, as this parasite is one of the cruelest catfish I'll meet.
There we go. Okay. That was nice to catch that. Not the fish I want, but, you know, that's a real monster in its own right. Oh.
If this one pulls me over, I'm in real trouble.
I was nearly tipping forward over that edge. I was going a little bit. My groin is starting to ache. Strong fish. The rod's jammed in. This is physical stuff. Physical work. It's coming up. Strong fish. But I think it's tiring. Tiring. There it is. There's the fish. Hey. Good grief. My crutch is killing me. And there it is.
But does it weigh more than 150 pounds?
The measure of the beast, that is 7 foot 1, 2, 3, 4, 7 foot 4 inches.
And then you open the mouth.
You can actually hear the echo coming out of the mouth there. Hello. And I can see its gullet opening and closing. If I was so inclined, I could put my fist down there quite easily. That is an eating machine. The whole thing is nearly 8 foot of just solid rippling muscle. If that grabbed hold of your leg, that's an unpleasant enough thought, but if that decided not to let go and you were swimming, you'd be history. I'm about 175 pounds on a good day or a bad day, depending how you look at it. This fish could be more than that. Yeah. 74 kilos, that's about 163 pounds. Not quite as big and fat and ugly as I am. What I find really hard to credit is that I was doing those experiments where I was trying to see how much force I could exert in the water, and there was somebody on the bank with a spring balance just hooked around their finger reading off, okay, 30 or 40 pounds. This thing in the water was almost pulling me off the bank, I was having to dig in and really act like I was in a tug of war. How something with nothing solid to actually grab hold of can exert that force in the water, you know, I find quite mind-boggling. It is very, very impressive indeed.
And now it's time to let this guy go. Let's see how he reacts.
Fish has recovered a bit, maybe a bit more than I have. I'm going to put it back in the water. If it does have a go at me, I'm going to actually stand my ground and see if it, a bit like an elephant, see if it's a false charge or will it actually go and grab my leg. This is what I'm trying to remember, that this fish is bigger than I am. It's got a few inches on me. I've got a few pounds on this fish, but I'm in the water. My extra weight actually counts for nothing. It's the fish's environment sinking down towards my foot. I think my reflexes overruled what I was wanting to do, which was stand my ground, but I can visualise it too much, what might be going on down there, what might be going through its mind, so don't tangle with these guys in their environment is the message.
Being such a rare animal nowadays, limited and sustainable fishing is allowed in just a few locations, and this is where I'm headed. I'm as far off the beaten track as possible, in search of those last places which still provide sanctuary to monsters.
Basically, there's no way we could get up here using the motor. Too many branches, rocks in the water. So we're having to manhandle the boat up this, this very narrow creek.
We've entered a pristine, magical world, home to many mysterious jungle creatures. And maybe the large arapaima I'm after.
Goodness me, that is a fish and a half. Look at that. This is a beautiful caparari. Oh. Right, I'm actually very pleased to have this fish. It's not the arapaima I was after, but, you know, this is just, to my mind, such a lovely looking fish. I mean, the patterning on that is just wonderful.
This bizarre catfish is a strange monster of the deep. But it seems that the arapaima is an elusive giant that won't be caught easily. I fish on into darkness, and I get another surprise.
That's just pulled me on my arse. Fish on. Me pull towards the water. I thought I was going to go in there. There's nothing. That's a sizable fish.
With so many fishermen around, the only inconvenience these fish suffer for their midnight feasts is a little bit of manhandling. Imagine being in a river at night with one of these things swimming around your legs.
I don't know how big it is yet. I can see it's big.
All right. Yeah, good.
148, I think. 147. 147. I'm a little bit shell-shocked. This was this fish. I've got a gravel rash on my backside. I mean, I hit into the thing and I was just sliding towards the river on my rear end and managed to stop myself against a bit of a slab, and it was real tug of war. But I mean, nice to see a fish like this. I mean, it really is. And they grow bigger than this. I mean, they are getting on for twice this weight in this water here, which is something to think about. I mean, what that must feel like on the end of the line, I don't know. It's about 9 inches, isn't it? Mm-hmm. This fish is almost as heavy as I am. I mean, this is quite a monstrous beast. And the power as well, I felt the power. The thing nearly pulled me in the river. So, you know, definitely a fierce predatory animal, and some of these stories about them maybe attacking swimmers, I don't know, I couldn't believe them now, having actually seen a sizable one of these things actually up close.
I'm still short of my target 150-pound beast. These creatures really are ugly out of the water. I want to see them in their natural element. But that means getting into the water. But the only way I know how to prove these monsters are still out there is to catch one. And I've heard of a lake that might be just the place to do that.
This lake looks really nice, actually. It's very quiet. Lots of snags, which could be interesting. I'm actually using a thing called a circle hook. Now that looks like it's just not going to hook anything at all. The point just coming in here, that's just not going to hook on anything. But in fact, if that's the fish's mouth, what happens is it just comes and turns, and there it is, right in the corner of the mouth. Oh, there we go, that was one. I just saw this red tail come up, fraction of a second, but I recognise it now, that was an arapaima. And what I've got to do is try and quietly get into position so I can actually put a bait near that fish. One thing that I learned from the tribes people, which is actually quite hard to do, but I've just got to be patient. Yes. Yeah. That's a fish, that's a good fish. Close up. Can see the fish.
As the battle with this arapaima approaches the half-hour mark, I'm reminded that the rebellious, proud spirit that inhabits this fish even refused to surrender to the gods.
Precisam alguém para pegar. Right, it's going to be out.
Take it.
There we go. Alligator, meu bolso aqui. Oh, look at that, it came out so easily. Pegando.
Yes.
Okay, we're ready. There it is. Look at that for a fish. Look at that. Massive female arapaima, about 150 pounds.
I finally have the proof in my arms that huge arapaima are still out here.
This is a true dinosaur of the deep.
I need this fish to regain its strength after our battle before I release it. If I put it straight back, it might not have the energy to swim to the surface to take a breath. And being an air breather, it would drown.
Just the head a little bit under the water. And pointing up towards the bank so that if it does thrash, there's only one way it can go. In theory, which is not back into the water, although they can just double around 180 degrees. Even at the end of a long fight, I can still feel the strength of this fish. So I can absolutely imagine this thing being able to knock over. Oh, there we go. That's good. That's good. That's good. Look at boom. That was good. That was the fish just having a breath, which is excellent. It means the fish is not too tired out. But I mean, mainly this fish is just a bony head with a big cylinder of muscle behind it. And if this fish wasn't tired out, I don't think I'd be able to hold it. That's good. No, it's gone. We were just wondering if it had enough strength to go, and no doubt about it, I just couldn't hold it. And in fact, at the end of an epic battle on the line, but also an epic quest trying to find one of these things, but finally feeling the strength of it, absolutely, I'm in no doubt now that if you were in a small fishing canoe and that thing hit you underneath, I mean, it would easily upend the canoe. And then if you're in the water afterwards and you got on the wrong side of that head, my goodness, that would absolutely take you out. Listen. Something down there. Just grab the bait, bent the rod, and then let go. That is a fish on. I think it's coming towards me. What I don't want is the hook to come out like it has been doing. Feels strange. There are people who hook these fish and they're literally on for hours, and it gets dark and they give up and they cut the line.
I've come far too far to give up, so even though my muscles are aching, I carry on.
There's a very fast sort of pulsing to it. It's not a throb, 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 throb. This is a big fish. I can only bully to a certain extent. Strong, strong, strong fish, strong fish, strong fish. Ah!
After a struggle of nearly half an hour, I have the better of it.
There it is, that's the fish, there's the fish, there's the fish. Piraíba, it's a piraíba. Ah! Here we go. This is the one I wanted. This is the piraíba, the real monster of the Amazon. Fish is growling at me. Oh, a big old mouth on there. Heavy, heavy fish. I can hardly hold this up. My arms are pretty shot anyway. No, I can feel the fish flexing. It's about to kick. Whoa. Oops. And this is the one that people say, when it gets big enough, it goes after people as well. Looks a bit like a shark, and it has a reputation to match. This is a big one, but they do go bigger. They do go bigger. This one, I don't know, possibly about 80 pounds. I mean, this is a man-sized fish, but they go bigger than man-sized. They go a size big enough to swallow a man. And a streamlined fish, smooth skin, no scales, but it's a very streamlined catfish. Most catfish are pretty slobby. They mope around on muddy bottoms, but this is a fish of fairly fast current, and I can just feel that muscle flexing. That's a lovely, lovely result. And am I tired? Am I tired? What I've got to do, though, is remember that the fish is as tired as I am. So, although I want to admire it out of the water, I've got to get it back and think of the fish's recovery as well. Oh. Oh. Okay. 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 Ah. Ah. Oh. And he's gone. What a river monster.
Bull sharks have been observed moving up the Mississippi River as far as St. Louis. And there has even been an attack reported in Lake Michigan. To fully understand this threat, I want to get my hands on one of these big predators in fresh water. But to do that, I need to learn some specialist techniques. from an expert in catching big sharks. Hello there.
Yeah,
You Terry?
Yeah, Jeremy?
Yeah.
Terry.
Nice to meet you.
Hey, nice to meet you, Ben.
Hello there.
Yeah.
On March the 14th, 2007, just here in the river mouth, Terry Hesse caught a 9.5-foot long female bull shark, estimated to weigh over 500 pounds. This all looks like pretty serious stuff.
Yep, well, free out rods and reels. We'll be using one of those.
Right.
Nice Tiago 80s.
Completely blown away with the idea of needing to use that in a river. These guys are serious. I'm impressed. They're fishing in this busy working port on the frontier between sea and fresh water. I mean, one thing I'm noticing already is attention to detail. They've got a comprehensive plan to outwit the supersensory capacity of this shark. Terry begins the journey across the river mouth to place the baits. Bull sharks have been reported to ram kayaks, taking the paddle splash and rudder movements for the thrashing of a fish in distress. Terry's okay, but in getting these baits set in the dark, I've injured my index finger. It's going to make things difficult. I'm just hoping that this and the disturbance from the busy port doesn't damage my chances.
Pick it up.
At 2:30 a.m,
Fish, aren't they?
with the tide high, the line begins to run.
In the heart. No, off. It's all right. Yep. Shuffling down. At the moment, it just feels like there's a boat on the end. It's just a dead weight. I'm just changing the ratio there. Yeah, that's pulling. It is coming my way.
And with nearly 200 yards of line taken in, whatever it is reaches the shore.
What is it?
That is huge! One of the best fish I've ever seen, mate.
This monster is not what I expected to catch.
Right, to me, James. It's not a shark, but it is an exceptional fish.
It's just remarkable.
That is something, isn't it? Oh, I've never seen anything like this in my life before. It's what they call a Queensland Grouper. This is a monster. I mean, it's not the monster I was after, but this is a monster.
Look at it. 6 feet and 3 inches.
What about the girth?
Yeah.
2'1". Its girth is 4 foot 3 inches. 4 foot 3 inches.
This is a protected marine fish, normally found on reefs, but they're known to come into river mouths like this on rare occasions.
Look at that. This fish, even Terry and Ben haven't seen anything like this anywhere like this size, so it's just an amazing catch, and particularly from a river. This thing really is a river monster.
Groupers have an extraordinary trick. This 250-pound male actually started life as a female. When there are too few males in a spawning group, a female will switch sex to keep breeding numbers up.
Ooh.
Time, though, for this gender bender to head back home. To me, that just underlines even more than before that, we just have no idea at all what is down there in our rivers. As it rose in the water, that he then felt this pain.